Hey guys, it's Lisa from Our Shabby Cottage, back again with another couple of crafts. We're going to do some wall pockets. Well, actually, we're going to do one wall pocket and then one pocket for the tabletop. I start out with a fencing board here, and I use these fencing boards very often. They're easy to work with, easy to sand. They're lightweight. And most of all, they're inexpensive. And with lumber, the price that it is right now, that is definitely a plus. Now I'm starting out with some chalk paint here, and you can use any color you want. I happen to be using the color celery. And I'm just going to haphazardly paint this celery, making sure that I keep my strokes going in one direction. Other than that, it really doesn't matter how haphazard you do this. Because all that we're doing is creating an effect that will keep us from having to go back in distress. So I just put a light coat on that as far as I think I need to go that the wall pocket won't cover. And now I'm going to do the same thing around the edges. Again, you don't have to do that bottom even on the sides because that wall pocket's going to wrap all the way around. This is a very easy project to do and would make a really good Christmas gift. I find in my store that people are looking for gifts in the $5 to $10 range, but they want them to be handmade so that they look more expensive than they actually are. And this is a great gift for that because you're not going to have, maybe you're going to have a couple of dollars in this, and possibly $3 depending on what you put inside it, but I think I'm only going to have about $2 in this project. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to put some hot glue just on the top so I can fold that down. I feel like that gives it a better look on the outside, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that on the sides here too so that it'll wrap good. And that just creates a little I don't know, some sort of design on the top of it so that it's not just cut straight across there. Okay, so we're going to wrap this around, but before we do that, we want to add a little bit of cushion here. Because you don't want to see those stems when we put our filler florals in there. And so I'm just using, I just pulled some stuffing out of an old pillow. Now I'm going to first wrap that bottom part and glue that down, and then we'll work with the sides. Now after you do this bottom here, I'm going to put, for me, it works better if I put some glue in those bottom corners and pull the corner taut first. And then after I do that, then I'll be able to wrap those sides better and not have that puckering in the corner of the bottom. I make these wall pockets out of all kinds of things. You can take an old cabinet door and make a larger wall pocket out of it. I've used the back of an old chair and made a wall pocket and filled it with lavender, and it made a beautiful wall hanging. And let's see, what else have I made them out of? Really, you can make them out of anything. I think I even made one on an old ladder one time. And you can use a number of fabrics. Again, I just use this drop cloth for so many projects. It's just got just the right thickness and color so that it doesn't clash with anything that I'm working on. So I have that glued pretty tight there, and that's all you have to do to make a pocket. And so now you can stuff things down in there, and you can, at this point, you have a blank canvas. You can kind of do anything that you want to it, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. Okay, I get this lamb's ear from Walmart, and I think I pay maybe $1 and something for it. They have them larger for $3, but I think this one, maybe 97 cents. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I bought it, so they may have gone up a little. But I use this for all kinds of arrangements. And here I'm even putting in a Christmas arrangement. You can put it in spring. I mean, it goes with a number of arrangements. And right here, I'm going to put a little bit of cedar in here. And you just kind of build your arrangement with little pieces of picks. I mean, none of these are a whole pick. I'm just kind of cutting things off and just sticking them wherever I think they look good. And with an arrangement this time, you use very little. Now, if I were making this for myself, I wouldn't even bother hot gluing it, because then I would be able to just pull the greenery out and use it for spring, especially with the color that I used. It's very versatile, and it would make a really pretty base for a spring arrangement. But since I'm going to be selling these, I want to glue those in and make sure that we don't lose any of them. Now, I think this little pop of red berries looks really good with this celery color. You wouldn't normally think of celery as a Christmas color, but it really works well with this red. Now, here's some little frosted berries that I'm going to put in here. And, I mean, it's pretty much all that it needs. So I'll finish it off with this one little pine cone, and I think we'll call that arrangement finished. Okay, so I feel like it needs something on the fabric. I feel like that's a little plain. So we're going to tear a little strip of fabric and wrap that around to add a little bit of extra to the bottom and bring some of that red down. So I think I've torn that about 1 inch wide maybe. But just whatever you think looks good on yours, and you can use any color you want. You could even use some burlap here, but I wanted some color, so we're going to use the red. Just cut that and secure it with a little dab of hot glue, and I will turn it around and put a little dab of hot glue underneath the front to keep it from sliding down. Now, I felt like that wasn't quite enough, so I'm just going to take a little string of jute and tie right down the center of that strip of fabric to add a little extra embellishment. Now, I'm not going to worry with doing a bow. I'm just going to tie a knot in it, because I plan on embellishing with a little bow. So just a simple knot will do. Now I have a little shabby bow already done up ahead, and I showed you guys in an earlier video how those are made. So I'm not going to bother doing that for time's sake, but I'm just going to secure that with hot glue right over that the knot. And now I think with Christmas coming up very soon and all the gift wrapping, that I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do a few bows that are easy. Because I think one of the struggles of gift wrapping is embellishing in the bows. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate those sticky bows that come in a bag. To me, they're not attractive at all. They don't stay on well, and before I'll use those, I'll just wrap a gift and not put a bow on it at all. And the good thing about these bows is they can be reused and reused and reused, and it's just it's definitely a good option over the little plastic bows or whatever they are. or cellophane, I guess. Now this needs a hanger, and you could turn it over to the back and put just a regular picture hanger on it, but I want some more red up there at the top, and I want to dress it up a little more, so I'm just, again, going to rip a little strip of fabric, tie a knot in each side, and then we're going to hot glue it to each corner at the top there on the front, and that adds a little extra to it, and it makes a good little hanger. Okay, so our first wall pocket is essentially complete. When I get this glued on here, it will be complete. And then we're going to move on to our second one. And I'm going to start with the second one using a 2x6. Now the good thing about using a 2x6 is we can just let this one set up. So you could put it on a mantle or on a tabletop. Now here, I'm doing the same thing with the pocket, but see where I folded that down? I skipped some footage here, but I just glued it to the front. Instead of trying to wrap that bottom around underneath, I just glued it secure right at the very bottom of the front. And the reason I did that, and then I wrapped it around, but I kept everything glued just right to the bottom, but not underneath. And the reason I did that was so that the fabric underneath wouldn't cause it to not be able to stand up. Now I'm going to add a stamp to the front of this, and I'm not going to stamp directly onto my project. These are the IOD stamps, and obviously I'm not sponsored by anyone, but I love these. I have just recently figured them out, or just recently found out about them, and they are so awesome to add to your projects. So I'm just inking it up here and putting it onto this white fabric. I feel like I needed to use white to make it show up better. And these are so simple to work with. I'm just pressing it down good, being really careful to keep one hand on it and not let it slide around. And there it is. It turned out really crisp. And I'm just going to cut that image out and glue that directly onto this drop cloth fabric. Now you want to cut that just as close to the image as you can, and when you cut it, try not to have any sharp edges. Keep it really smooth and as close as you can get it without cutting into your image. I went back and trimmed this a little bit closer because I didn't have enough room to put the whole image, but I was able to trim it close enough without having to go into the image, and it ended up working out just fine. Now I wanted to keep this more neutral, but you could go back into this image and add some color, either with a Sharpie, a red Sharpie, and just color in his pants and his coat, or you could even take a small paintbrush and add some red into it. But I think that would be really good to bring that red down, but I'm not going to do it here. I'm just going to keep this one more neutral. So there it is onto the pocket. And now I'm going to cut a little strip of fabric, the same kind of fabric, and put a little stamp on it that I can put on the top to kind of add a little something to the top. I have a little stamp that says Merry Christmas, and it's small, and I think it'll add something to the top to make it look better. But I mean, it may not even show it all. Probably won't once I get that arrangement in there. But it's just something I decided to add to it. So I just cut a little piece of fabric that was plenty big enough to put that stamp on. And once I get the stamp onto that, then I just cut around it so that I just have the Merry Christmas, just the fabric, just enough fabric around it to frame it. So now we're really close to having this complete. I just cut around that, glue it to the top, and then our wall pocket is finished. We don't need a hanger. We don't need a stand. We don't need anything because this wood is thick enough that it's going to stand on its own. Provided we don't put anything too heavy in that pocket. So when you make a pocket out of these 2x, you want to make sure that you don't get it front heavy. And so I'm not going to try to put a pine cone or thing that might have weight in it so that it doesn't tumble forward. So I have a little frayed edges, and I like a little bit of frayed edges. I was just kind of pulling to make sure that it's evenly frayed. Frayed is good, but you want to make sure that it's evenly frayed. So here I'm gluing this to the top, and then there is our wall pocket, ready to add whatever you want to it. And I'm just going to put the same type of arrangement that I put in my last pocket, and then it'll be complete. Now I'm just going to fill this pretty much the way I filled the other one. I'm going to fast forward through this so it will take a lot of your time, because essentially I'm just doing the same thing that I did. Now I'm trying to show content that I feel like will be useful for this time of year, this close to Christmas. But if you have any suggestions, I would really appreciate them. I need suggestions on what you would like to see, or even what I'm doing wrong. I'm very open to constructive criticism. I hope you won't be ugly to me, but if you can just give me some helpful advice, I'm very open to that. Now that completes our last pocket. I hope that this was something that you found useful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you, and God bless. Have a great day.